Arnak and His Reindeer Save Christmas by Nanny Linda. Tiptoe the elf was running through the snow-covered yard, shouting out Santa's name. Then he frantically dashed up to Santa's front door, shouting again and again, "The reindeer are sick! The reindeer are sick! They are all lying around. I think they have all caught the flu. They won't eat or drink. They can't open their eyes. Santa, what are we going to do?" Santa jumped out of bed and quickly got dressed and ran out of the house shouting, "Call Polka Dot, the elf vet!" Then he took off running down to the stables at the speed of an aircraft jet. Santa was sick with worry, scratching his head at the forlorn reindeer's sight, all lying around, sweating and wheezing, their sickness arriving through the night. There were only 2 days to go until Christmas Eve, when Santa needed them all 100% fit and able. So Santa sat on a bale of hay to have a think in the sickly reindeer's stable. Some of the elves quietly crept into the stable and just stood and looked around, and noticed Santa slumped on his bale of hay with his Santa hat lying on the ground. "What are we going to do, Santa?" little elf Poppy P asked as she sat on his knee. And Santa just shook his head again and again and said, "I just don't know, Poppy P." Polka Dot the elf vet then arrived with Tiptoe and sprinkled the reindeer each in turn with some magic dust of parsnip, lavender and thyme, and then some sage in a pot he'd burn. It would help all the reindeer recover, but would probably take several days, and already the reindeer's wheezing had improved a little whilst breathing in the magical dust haze. Santa then said to all his little elf helpers, "Put on your thinking caps, boys and girls. We have just got to come up with a solution for our Christmas Eve journey all around the world." Just then, one of the younger little elves by the name of Bobo Blue put up her hand and said, "Santa, I have an idea what we can do. I have a friend named Arnak who lives in Norway and is of the Sami tribe, and he has hundreds of reindeer, so maybe we could borrow 8 for our forthcoming Christmas Eve ride." Santa's face lifted from worry and a frown to a smile that beamed from ear to ear. "Go, little Bobo Blue, and take Tiptoe with you as fast as you can, do you hear?" So preparations were made, and the 2 elves took off on a magical dusty ride in search of Arnak and his reindeer herd in the snowy and cold Norwegian countryside. Arnak is a nomad and travels with the reindeer herd across the frozen land. He lives in a portable tent with his mother, father, and elder brother Armand. Arnak was snuggled in his warm, cosy bed when Tiptoe and Bobo Blue arrived, and they woke him up from his deep, dreamy sleep and said, "Arnak, we must speak with you. Come outside." They told Arnak about all the sick reindeer at the North Pole and Santa's unusual request, and that loaning Santa 8 of his fastest reindeer for one night would be help of the very best. Arnak instantly wanted to help Santa, and his family had a herd of hundreds so they wouldn't be missed, so he went out into the reindeer herd and chose 8 of his very best. Juno, Kenai, Hunter and Kodiak, Salix, Alder, Jasper and Kai were all sprinkled with the magical elf dust. Then they all rose up into the sky. Tiptoe and Bobo Blue rode on the lead reindeer, and the others trailed behind through the dark, starry night. Arnak waved and shouted, "Merry Christmas!" and they circled overhead to his great delight. Santa was waiting and worrying, pacing up and down the yard in the snow, checking the sky for any telltale signs of magical dust, and 8 reindeer and 2 elves all aglow. Then just before dawn, with 1 day to go, when Santa was searching the skies, he saw them arriving, all sparkling with snow, and the relief could be seen in his eyes. Bobo Blue and Tiptoe were heroes. All the elves were shouting, "Hooray!" and Mrs. Santa went and made bacon and eggs and fed them all an extra hearty breakfast that day. The new borrowed reindeer strode into the barn for their breakfast after the long trip through the night. They had to be kept apart from Santa's reindeer that were sick in the stables to keep them all healthy and bright. So for the whole of the next day they practiced pulling the sleigh that was now all full with beautiful gifts. They all followed Santa's lead as he worked their reins with soft landings, running in the air and quick lifts. They were perfect trainees and took to their work, really enjoying their flying spree. And Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donner and Blitzen all bellowed approvingly. So the Christmas Eve journey went without a hitch, and for the second team they were simply the best. Santa was relieved and delighted in every way, back to his usual jolly jest. Juno, Kenai, Hunter and Kodiak, Salix, Alder, Jasper and Kai were so happy they didn't want to go home. So Santa sent a message to Arnak by Magic Elf Dust mobile phone. "Can we keep your reindeer, please? They have performed such a satisfactory task. And in payment, and with my grateful thanks, you can have anything that you wish to ask." Arnak replied to Santa that very same day and asked if he could come to visit the North Pole on a magical elf dust flight. So Santa sent the elves, Tiptoe and Bobo Blue, to collect him that very Christmas Day night. And that was Arnak's payment. And then every Christmas Day night, he would come to Santa's home at the North Pole and visit his reindeer on a magical elf dust flight. And when Arnak became a very old man and had lived his life in the best of health and happiest of ways, he decided to become one of Santa's elves for all time, and he chose the name Sami Blaze.